Your old internet router may be the perfect spy tool for the Kremlin. That disturbing warning coming from the Department of Homeland Security.
And the U.S. and U.K. now warning that Russian hackers could be exploiting unpatched routers, using them to spy on people around the world. So how worried should we be? Former Special Operations Intelligence Analyst Brett Velicovich joins us now with more on that. Hey, Brett, this is interesting. And when we're talking about old routers that they can use to spy, explain how that even happens.
Exactly, and this is really just another incident in a long line of illicit activities on behalf of the Russian government. In this particular case, millions of these unprotected routers, these internet routers that everyday businesses and consumers have been hacked by Russian state-sponsored hackers that are intent on stealing our critical information and also, intent on stealing our intellectual property. And our intelligence agencies are very aware of this. They've been aware of this for a while, that the Russians have been able to successfully penetrate our critical infrastructure through these hacking activities. And the problem really is just too big to control. A lot of times when this happens, it's happening after the fact, and we're learning about it too late by the time the Russian hackers have simply moved on to their next target. But the fact is, this is the future of warfare. It's no longer going to be in the deep trenches of some far-flung land in the middle of nowhere. It's going to be in the digital halls of the internet. And I don't think our intelligence apparatus, quite frankly, is set up and designed to combat it effectively.
Brett, you just touched on something that I was going to ask, and it seemed a little bit extreme for me to even think this, but when you think of war, you think of boots on the ground, but everything revolves around technology nowadays, especially in our country, and it's scary to think that this is happening. How can people at home who are watching protect themselves?
Well, it really has to do with costly upgrades to the networks, and that's really on the network providers. But largely, this is the responsibility of our own government to tackle. We do, from a cyber standpoint, have a pretty fantastic capability that far surpasses that of our adversaries. But the fact is that we've been pretty risk-averse when it comes to using it. I mean, I remember sitting in these meetings with the NSA folks and Cybercom, and sitting there realizing that there were more lawyers in the room than there were intelligence personnel. And that's because of the fact that the lawyers wanted to understand exactly what we were doing, to go on the offensive. And it made it so that these intel people are very risk averse. And the Russians don't have to deal with that. I mean, they don't play by the same rules. But the reality is that there's no doubt, after seeing this and things like Russian meddling in our elections, that the Russians are in a covert war with us, and I'm not so sure that we're covertly at war with them. And we've really got to do something about it, because we can't just sit here and whistle past it when they're sitting there targeting us.
Brett, are you saying that we should take the gloves off and learn how to fight dirty in this war the way that the Russians are? Because it sounds like they don't have any rules, and it sounds like we are all, litigious on how we operate.
Exactly. Look, we need to release our cyber warriors. We need to take the handcuffs off them and let them do their jobs. I mean, again, we've got some of the greatest capabilities in the world. We just simply don't employ them. And this is a situation where we need to fight back. We can't just sit there and continue to be targeted. Just because bombs are not going off in our streets and gunfire doesn't mean we're not being attacked. And if we continue to let this happen, we're really going to see some issues further down the road. So hopefully our cyber warriors can be a bit unhinged and do their job the best way they know how.
It's the way the world is these days. Thank you very much, Brett. We appreciate it.